Shabbat Shalom, everybody. My name is Jason.
I'm Caden.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Eli.
And we are the Yahuwah and the Torah channel, and we thank you guys very, very much for being a part of our little family as we do these little readings. And it is a beautiful day. It is the seventh day. It is a day that our Creator has set apart for the people that are His. Now, we have an entire group of people called religious people, and these religious people, they only use one half of the Bible. We have been given the entire book of scriptures as our guidelines for life, as our ways forward, but yet we get stuck in religion that not only do they only use half the scriptures, but then they only use half of those scriptures to come up with the full doctrine. And many people, they will take the words of Rabbi Shaul, they will take the words of Paul, and that becomes their Elohim, that becomes their God. When we take the laws of our Creator, when we take His beautiful, precious ways, and we say they don't mean anything to us anymore, and we don't need them, then we are not obeying and we're not loving our Creator with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all of our soul. And so we have been told this, and we are the people that puts 1,000% value in the entire scriptures, from the beginning of the book to the very end of the book, as well as all of the Apocrypha. We believe it all. And we believe in all of the laws, in all of the statutes, in all of the commands, and we believe that they are completely beautiful. And when our Messiah, Jesus the Christ, Yahushua HaMashiach, says, "Depart from me, you who work lawlessness," we take that statement very seriously, because we don't want our Messiah to tell us to get lost. When he says, "Depart from me, you who work lawlessness," what he means is those who do not keep the ways of his Father, those who do not keep Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, they're told to go to hell. And it's going to be a very scary endeavor, because they won't understand it, because they have been locked into a tradition of men. They are locked into what we call religion. And in scriptures, we don't have anything that we're told to be a religion. We don't have any way except for Yah's ways. Cade, will you please open us in prayer?
Father, thank you for this day. We thank you once again for your Shabbat. We thank you once again for your Torah. As we are a family looking for your will, looking for your greatness and what you have put in the Torah, what you have put in your word today. And we ask that your word is blessed. You put the Ruach on our eyes to understand, to be able to hear and obey, to be able to hear and understand what you have written out for us. Thank you for all you've done for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay,
so here we are. What we are going to be doing is the very first thing. Let me actually take this. This, what you guys are looking at here, guys, you are looking at the finished version of Yah Scriptures. So not only was released as of yesterday. If you guys have a Google device, a phone, a tablet, a TV, or any one of these devices, Yah Scriptures is 100% free of charge. All 103 books with a restored name, the copy, the paste, all of this thing completely works. It is what we teach out of. It is what we teach with, and it is absolutely amazing. And what I'm doing right here, for anybody that wants to play with this, I'm putting the font all the way to the big part right here, and I'm going to go right here. And what we're going to do right now, I am going to read a commandment to you guys. Now, this commandment is one of these commandments that is it's in the Old Testament. So you will have 41,000 different religions that say, I have no value on this particular verse. Now, if we don't have any particular value on this verse, then we can't say that we love God with all our heart, with all our mind, and with all our soul if we reject him. Now, before I read this verse, I would like to explain a little bit what I talked about my dear mother yesterday. And I bring up my dear mother a lot because she is a hardcore Christian. She loves the religion of Christianity. And even though it is a lawless religion, when you talk and look at scriptures, she's okay with this. And what I told mom, and she's one of those, she's a divorcee. Before I was ever set free, I had 3 different dads. I had 3 different last names. To get to where I am right now. Now, one of the things my mom was always very particular about was a faithfulness of a man. That a man needs to be faithful, a woman needs to be faithful, and that is how her marriages were destroyed, by a man who was cheating on her, and it destroyed her. Now, how I explained this to her yesterday, it was this. I said, Mama Bear, I said, if you have taught me how to be faithful to my wife, and I grew up and I despised the words you said, and I started cheating on my wife, I started destroying my marriage, I was an infidel, I was just a very bad guy, how could I ever say that I love you, Mom, with all my heart, mind, and soul if I reject the words you say? So we went with this, and now this verse that we're just about to read is the exact same thing. If you hate the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator, then you can't love him with all your heart, mind, and soul. You don't love somebody if you hate their ways. If what they say doesn't have any value in your life, then there's no way you're ever going to say this. You can love somebody with all your heart, mind, and soul. Now, here is this verse. Shema, O Yisrael. Hear and obey is the verse. That's what Shema means. It's not just a hear, but there's also an obey. And for anybody who wants to have a religion that is actually biblical, you would be Yisrael. You would be a Hebrew person. You would be an Hebrew. So hear, O Yisrael, hear my people. Yahuwah, which is the name of God, the correct name of God, our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Now, this is talking about a set of guidelines, about a set of rules, about a set of things that come from our Creator that we're supposed to write onto our hearts, onto our minds. If you have something as a frontlet between your eyes, that means you do not go anywhere unless you are viewing the world through the eyes of the Torah. That is what the entire point of this is. We are supposed to hear and we are supposed to obey. So as we begin this journey of learning what we are supposed to hear and obey, we will begin. Ms. Nicole, can you give us a greeting to all our brothers and sisters that are out there?
Yes, but I want to say something to Chaim real quick. He's upset about the whole chat, the way that it is. That's not us. That's YouTube. If we could fix it, we could.
What's wrong with the chat?
Because it does like the live, like yours, like you see on yours, on your screen. That's what it does to some people. Like you're in like a short is what it looks like.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do.
What I've noticed is if you're in it before we actually start the stream, it's fine. But if you go in after the stream starts, it does like the short live way.
Yep. Well,
So anyway,
sorry,
I just wanted to
homeboy.
explain that to him real quick. All right, and now I will say hi to people. Hold on, let me get up here to the top. All right, we have Jeremy and Callan. We have Jaden, Dr. Fred, and Marlene.
Hi, guys.
Because our Jaden is not with us at the table today.
Our family has been broken, and Mr. Jaden is over with Dr. Fred and Marlene taking care of our friends.
All right, we have Andy and Elizabeth. We have Irma, Sylvia, Sister Barb, Joanna, Rosie Chica, Candy and Ruby, Sarah Baker, another Elizabeth, Kaim, Brian. I'm scrolling. Hold on. Jeannie, Not of This World, The Grand, Grandma, Cindy LJ and Tess. Obi Lines just showed up. A new name, Janet Purvis. Welcome. Oh, Mama CA. And I think that's everybody.
All right. Well, friends and family, wherever you come, whenever you're listening to this, much love from all of us down here. We love you all. We love anybody who's part of Yah's family, who is part of Yah's kingdom. And we love those who are not part of Yah's kingdom, because those are the only ways that we are able to seek and to find the people of Yah's kingdom is by fishing for men. And that is what we are doing. Now, what we're going over right here is we are going over something that is simply amazing. These are I guess, for what you could call hidden commands, because we have 41,000 different religions that have zero value on these commands. Well, these commands have 100% value if you want the kingdom life. If you're looking for the world to come, if you're looking for a different place, a place that has people that think a lot like we do, that want a different world, these are the commandments that we have been given throughout scriptures that we need to apply to our lives. We need to talk about them when we rise up and when we go to bed. They are absolutely everything that builds a foundational building of structure that is strong, right? This is what is the keys to life, and we've just been tossing these things in the ditch for so many decades. All right, so let us begin. And if anyone in the chat has any questions at all on any of these, let's talk about them as we roll. Okay. Commandment number 1 is to be fruitful.
Commandment number 2, multiply, replenish the earth.
And I'm gonna let you two go at this. Sarah, we did see your comment. The first thing Eli had some weird snafu with YouTube where it killed the very first stream, or it went live where we weren't supposed to go live. And so I did see your commandments on that, or your questions, and we will talk about that when we hit the Shabbat one, as far as that goes. Yeah, and I remember. Yeah, so Pharaoh is one of my nicknames my kids gave me. That was one of the things she said. Okay, gentlemen, continue on. Go slow as we're going over this so we can discuss this.
All right, subdue it. Have dominion over the fish, fowl, and every living creature.
The herb bearing and every tree is for food.
Man and woman should build their own families.
Master sin.
Every clean moving thing that lives shall be food for you.
Do not eat the blood.
Walk before me and be perfect.
Guard Yahuwah's covenant, laws, statutes, and commandments.
Guys, and let's take a look at this. I stop on this one a lot, but part of keeping Sabbath, part of keeping all of this, guys, there is no other verse, there's no other commandment anywhere in scriptures that is the length of this. Guys, this is over a page on this. And before we get too far, Ms. Nicole, will you throw the APK in here?
I already did.
Okay,
I put it in there. Do you want me to do it again?
No,
One
well,
more time?
for anyone that wants this same app that we're using, it's 100% free of charge. The APK is right there. We'll get it in the Google store at some point, but you can click install on this, and it will give you this exact same thing that we are messing with right here. But this is, guys, this is a huge commandment to guard Yahuwah's covenant, laws, statutes, and commandments. Now, this embraces all of the Torah, right? Because you don't find the covenant, laws, statutes, and commandment anywhere else except for the Old Testament. Now, the thing about the Christian religion is they have branded the Old Testament as simply that, old. It doesn't apply to us anymore. This is the old. And that's what my mom kept telling me. She's like, oh, but you're living under the old way. And I told her, I said, can you show me a difference? Where is the new way? Because the new way with the Son of the Most High is the exact same way that his dad had given us the commandments that we were supposed to live. Messiah just showed us that it is possible to do it, and he gave us all sorts of things. We use the eSword, help me understand. Yeah, eSword. This is also free on eSword as well. Okay, so guys, we have this huge command right here to guard the commandments, and that includes keeping the Sabbath day. That includes all of these other things that we are reading. Continuing on.
Every male shall be circumcised 8 days old.
Teach your children the commands and guard the way of Yahuwah.
Remember Yahuwah's name for all generations.
Keep the Passover, Pesach.
Keep the feast of unleavened bread, the festival of matzah.
There is one Torah for the stranger and the Hebrew.
Okay, and so if we are coming from a Christian religion, and we are Christians, to be a Christian was what my mom explained to me, is that I need to be a follower of Christ. And she's like, don't you want to be a follower of Christ? And I'm like, absolutely. I want to be a follower of Christ. I also want to be a follower of Yahuwah. I want to be a follower of Father and Son and their ways. And you can't have one without the other, because you don't know what sin is. Unless you have the Torah, unless you have the first 5 books of scriptures, you don't know what it is. And you will be judged based upon what you don't know. And if you are judged based upon what you don't know, that's your own fault. That is our own fault for being lazy and trying to find this once saved, always saved that does not exist in scriptures, right? There's no such place in scriptures that says once saved, always saved. Matthew 7 destroys that entire hoax of a comment, because Messiah Yahushua says, depart from me, you who work lawlessness. That's not saved, always saved, right? That's people that thought they were saved, and they're obviously being tossed into Gehenna, into hell, because of this. And so if you are coming out of any religion at all, it doesn't matter what religion, understand that our Creator has said there's one set of laws for anybody. It doesn't matter what part of the plains you came from. It matters that if you want to be a child of the Most High, if you want to be a candidate for the kingdom to come, then we have one set of guidelines, one set of laws, and these laws are what we are reading right now. Okay, sanctify all firstborn to Yahuwah.
There are no mighty ones before Yahuwah.
You shall not make graven images.
Do not bring Yahuwah's name to naught.
And keep the Shabbat.
Honor your parents.
Do not kill.
Do not break wedlock.
Do not steal.
Do not make false accusations against your neighbor.
Do not covet anything of your neighbor's.
Do not make an altar from rock that a tool has touched.
Do not go up to the altar by the steps.
If a man steals cattle, he shall restore it 5 times.
Yahuwah's laws for criminals.
Do not lie with beast.
No sacrifice to other Elohim.
Do not oppress a stranger, fatherless, or widow.
Do not charge your brother interest.
If you oppress your neighbor's raiment, return to him before sunset.
What?
Oh, if you borrow your neighbor's raiment.
How are we going to oppress our neighbor's raiment? We're going to not take it to the wash. We're going to burn it up. That is oppressing.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that either. Return to him before sunset.
Okay.
Do not curse the ruler of your people.
Do not eat what is torn of any beast.
No false report.
Do not follow a multitude of evil.
Do not judge righteously against the poor.
Bring back your enemy's cattle if you find it going astray.
Help the animals of your enemy.
Stay away from rumors and gossipers.
Take no bribes.
Do not oppress a stranger. Love the stranger.
Give your land rest this Sabbath year.
Do not mention any pagan names.
Keep the feast of Yahuwah.
Do not cook your goat in his mother's milk.
Obey the messenger Yahuwah sends before you.
Do not bow down to other Elohim.
Serve Yahuwah.
Make no covenant with other Elohim or outsiders of the land.
Do not make use of anointing oil on a normal person. Do not make use of perfume on a normal person.
Do not eat the fat.
Do what you say you are going to do.
Return what is your neighbor's.
Obey Yahuwah's dietary laws.
Women's time of separation.
Obey Yahuwah's hygiene laws.
Keep the Day of Atonement. Yom HaKippurim.
Do not uncover the nakedness of your family.
Do not take your woman's sister for wife.
Do not lie with a woman in her uncleanness.
Do not sacrifice your children to Moloch.
Do not be a sodomite.
Be holy.
Do not reap the corners of your field. Do not reap the corners of your field, or you shall not glean your vineyard.
Do not deal falsely or defraud your neighbor.
Do not lie or be a liar.
Pay your workers the day's wage they are due.
Do not harm the disabled.
Do not endanger your neighbor.
Do not hate your brother.
Rebuke your neighbor for his sin.
Do not diverse your cattle.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yep. I skipped one.
Okay. So continue on.
Do not diverse your cattle.
Do not mingle your seed.
Do not mingle linen and wool.
Do not lie with a taken woman.
Do not eat the fruit of the trees for 3 years.
Do not practice sorcery.
Do not round your beard or the corners of your head.
Do not cut yourself for the dead.
Do not get tattoos.
Do not prosecute your daughter.
Do not defile your temple.
Do not consult the medium.
Respect your elders.
Have correct weights and measures.
Do not walk in the manners of the nation.
Keep the feast of first fruits, Shavuot, Omer Count, Pentecost.
Keep the feast of trumpets, Yom Torah.
Keep the feast of Sukkot, Shem Yatzeret.
If you blaspheme the name of Yahuwah, you shall be put to death.
If you kill your neighbor's animal, you must give him another.
Repay injury for injury.
Honor the Yobel, the Jubilee year.
Confess your sins to Yahuwah and repay who have trespassed against.
The law of being a Nazir.
Wear zizit on the four corners of your garments.
The Torah of whoever touches a corpse.
Follow Yahuwah's law of inheritance.
The law of keeping your oath to Yahuwah.
Do not add or take away from the word.
Guard your soul.
Learn to fear Yahuwah.
Let's go back real quick, guys. Guard your soul. It's it seems like a simple enough thing. I reference this particular commandment quite often because we are in a world where soul guarding is not a big thing. You look at the world and you look at the place that we are on right now with our testing grounds on these planes, and most people don't care about their soul. And you will have, again, you have 41,000 different denominations, and in these denominations, you will have people paying tithing inscripturally. You will have them worshiping on the wrong day, unscripturally. You will have them eating unclean foods, unscripturally. And when you mention that our Creator, that if you love Him with all of your heart, with all of your mind, and all of your soul, and He says vehemently, I don't want you to eat unclean food, it's an abomination to you, then when you eat that candy swine, then you are going against what the Creator of the universe wants for you to do. You are literally backstabbing your parent. You are going against the wishes of your parent. And when we are in this conundrum of unclean food versus clean food, when we go for the unclean food, we are absolutely not guarding our soul. When Messiah, Yahushua, Jesus the Christ, tells us, depart from me, you who are Torah-less, you who are lawless, you who do not keep my Father's commandments, that should be an eye raiser, the eyebrow raiser. We should be looking at that and studying this and understanding that this is a death sentence for our soul when we are not guarding it. And we can't ever say that we are guarding our soul when we're okay eating unclean food, going against the wishes of our Creator. Who are we that we should go against the hand of creation and do things that are contrary to scriptures and that they will hurt us? That's what this is all about, guys. Guarding our soul essentially helps keep us alive. You don't want to eat these contaminated foods of unclean food because our Creator created things in a separate way, in a way that is unhealthy for the rest of humanity. And so if you want to guard your soul, number one, it begins with Shabbat. Number two, it begins with Torah keeping. Number three, you got the faith of Messiah. I mean, you can put that in whatever order you guys want, but it's a multi-lane highway that takes us to the kingdom, and it's not a single little itty path that is easy to run. That most don't make the kingdom. That's what Scripture says. And if most don't make the kingdom, where are the billions of people going to go? Continuing on. Learn to fear Yahuwah. Now, if we fear God, if we literally fear him, then we're going to fear his repercussions for us being bad boys and girls. And that's the problem, is when we get indoctrinated into a religion, then that religion has us believing things that are not in scriptures. And it doesn't matter if they believe it. When we do it, that's where our souls are in danger. We need to be very, very, very careful on all of this. Continuing on, we need to love God, Yahuwah, with all of our heart. And I go back to that little thing that I talked to my mom about, that if I didn't do anything that they raised me with, and I was contrary to everything they said, and I hated their words, how could I really say that I love them? Right? Am I just a liar when I say I love you with all my heart, mind, and soul, but I go against everything my parents ever told me to do? That's the same understanding we have to have with our Creator. We can't be those derelict children that are bad. Continuing on. Bind the Torah upon your hand and the frontlets between your eyes.
Write the laws on your doorposts.
Do not tempt Yahuwah.
Do what is right and good in the sight of Yahuwah.
Do not be afraid of your enemies.
Remember Yahuwah.
Circumcise your heart.
Cleave to Yahuwah.
Swear by his name.
Destroy graven images.
Slow down, boys.
Do not make an idol of Yahuwah as the pagans do their Elohim.
Rejoice in all Yahuwah has blessed you with.
Do not do what is right in your own eyes.
Guys, let's go back up to rejoice in all that Yahweh has blessed you with. Guys, every breath of air that we take in should be something that we consider a blessing, right? He created stuff that we can't even see, that we have to have, and we don't have it. We're flipping around on the ground like a fish, right? You have two eyes, you have one eye, you still have one eye. If you are able to see it all, if you have no eyes, then thank our Creator that you have ears to hear, right? Every single aspect of our Creator, his design, we have been blessed with. From the meals, every single bite we eat, for every breath we take, every single day that we survive these lands, we need to be thankful that we've been blessed. When we wake up in the morning, are we praying, thanking our Creator that he's blessed us with another day we can be alive? We don't know when our day of accounting is going to be. We don't know when we're going to take our last breath. Every single moment of our lives are a blessing, and it has been, it's generous. Our Creator has generously given us a wonderful body that we can all walk around with, that we are all capable with. We have two hands. Some of us don't have two hands, but we still have a hand. We can still do things in an amazing way, and every last aspect of creation for us is a blessing. Every last aspect of everything that our Creator does has done it for us, that we can have a great little ecosystem. We can have a great little dome, and we can have our own little terrarium system. So everything he has done is a blessing. And so when we are down on our so-called luck, when we're down in life, when everything is going bad, this is still time to rejoice. This is all time to praise our Creator for that breath of air. It may not be an easy task, walking and living and breathing and doing all this stuff, but we're still here, right? And for every last moment that we are still here, we need to thank our Creator that he chose us out of all sorts of different things that he could have put in our place, and he gave us this opportunity. Continuing on. Do not do what is right in your own eyes.
Do not hearken to the words of the false prophets.
Do not make any baldness in your eyes for the dead.
You shall not eat any abominable thing.
You shall give to a stranger clean food that dies of itself, but you shall not eat of it.
Give the tithe of your increase of seed year by year.
Laws to the end of the 7-year lease.
Do not borrow from the nations.
Do not harden your heart, nor shut your hands from the poor.
Guard month 1 of Yahuwah's calendar.
3 times a year, all males shall appear before Yahuwah.
Eli, will you not talk into your hand, please? Thank you.
You shall make judges and officers in all your gates.
Do not plant Asherah poles near the altar.
Beautiful. Thank you.
There must be 2 or 3 witnesses.
Hearken to the Nabai, prophet Yahuwah has chosen.
The private test of Deuteronomy.
Do not remove your neighbor's property line.
How to deal with a false witness among Torah keepers.
The first child is to eat double portions.
If your brother's cattle or clothes are lost and you find them, you must return them.
A woman should not wear what pertains to a man, nor a man wear what pertains to a woman.
If you find a bird's nest with the mother and the babies, or eggs, take the babies, but not the mother.
If you build a new house with a flat roof that it will be lived on, you must put a railing around it.
Do not be a prostitute.
Do not use dirty money.
The law of divorce.
Do not take a person's millstone for a pledge.
If you lend to your brother, do not enter his house to get payment, you must bring it to you. Return his clothing before sunset, that was his pledge.
Do not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy.
Every man should be put to death for his own sin.
Do not go back to the forgotten sheep in the field, yet for the stranger, fatherless, and widow.
Do not muzzle your ox when he treads out grain.
If your brother dies and has no child, you shall take his wife and him the firstborn after your brother.
At the end of 7 years, you are to read the Torah at the Feast of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles.
Okay, I'm going back to Irma's. Irma had a comment here, and I actually have another phone here, so I'm reading comments on that. And she was talking about a discussion in Genesis 9 that says anything that is saying pork. The discussion in Genesis 9 is about every living thing that crawls is food for you. And that is absolutely, here's the problem where we are in Christianity is that we don't understand the scriptures because we don't read it. And if you don't read it, then you're just going to look at a certain verse and go, oh, this must be what this means. But we don't have just a certain verse. And if you think that every moving thing can be food for you, then let's just start carving humans up and sticking them in our freezer, right? Stick them in the crock pot. They'll stew up the same. That's unclean food. How do we know that Genesis 9 doesn't mean every living thing like this? Because we have other scriptures. And we had, prior to any of this, we had Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We had all these guys eating clean food. All of these things. And then we have Leviticus 11, which, funny enough, is the chapter for today. And so as we are getting into this will be a great chapter. If anyone out there is wondering about what foods we can eat and what not, Eli, here, just pop away, bro. Leviticus 11, here. I got it, bro. Okay, so here we are. Since Eli's been gone, I've been doing my own producing. I'm doing good, I think. I'll leave that up to you guys, though. Okay, so here we are, Leviticus 11. I need somebody to give me a quick breakdown of what has happened from Genesis, Exodus, and to Leviticus. Okay.
Right, from Genesis, we have Adam and Eve, we have Abraham, we have Isaac, we have the 12 sons of Israel, the sons of Jacob, and then we have them put into captivity. We have them all the way from the time of Jacob's death. They all go into captivity. They grow too large. Joseph dies and has no more control over the rest of Egypt, so that the Egyptians start fearing the Israelites and they all become enslaved to them. And we get into Exodus, and Yahuwah sees that they are being afflicted. It's been hundreds of years they've been afflicted by these people. He sends his chosen one, Moses. Instead of him dying, he sends him down the river. He sends him to live, he sends him to be saved. And as he grows up, as he runs away from Egypt, from killing the Egyptian, Yahuwah tells him, he goes, you are going to save my people. Go save my people. Get your brother. Take him out of Egypt, and you will be my people. And he did. He took them out. The Israelites have always, since the beginning, since he got there, they've given him issues. They're still giving him issues. To the point where he goes up to the Mount Zion, or not Mount Zion, but Mount Sinai to get the commands. He gets the commands, and they make a golden calf, and they upset Yahuwah. They upset Moses, and they cut themselves off a bit from Yahuwah. And then Yahuwah goes into Leviticus, and we get commands. We get how to build a tabernacle. We get how to do sacrifices. We get how to stay clean and kodesh in the lands. And now today we get how to do the food, what food to eat, what should we eat, what is clean, what is unclean.
Yeah, and so these are probably the greatest set of rules right here that define everything when it comes to food. And when we go against this, then we are going against the wishes of the creator of the universe. Seems kind of dangerous to me. Seems like one of these things that we probably wouldn't want to do. And I saw Jeremy had a comment a little bit above there, talking about how people will, the Christians will bless their food, right? They will take shrimp, they will take lobster, they will take pig, and they will like, Father, please bless this food. And they will take the words of Rabbi Shaul, who, number one, Paul was not writing to you. If you think that you're going to take a doctrine from Rabbi Paul, Shaul, and you make it a guidepost for life, and it goes contrary to what Scripture says, then by default, Paul is your God. That is your Elohim. And that is something that the Christians reject. They're like, that is not true at all. Paul is not our God. Well, if he's not your God, then why do you eat unclean food? Why have you forsaken the law? Why have you gone down the wrong path? Because a gentleman was writing a letter to a people thousands of years ago who are not you, with problems that you do not have. He's not speaking to you. This is a third party. You're eavesdropping on a conversation with Rabbi Shaul. And if you're using things that are unbiblical as doctrine, then you're going to be left behind. When I say left behind, Messiah says, depart from me, you who work lawlessness. That's left behind. So continuing on. And yeah, some people say Paul didn't preach against the Torah, but you have an entire religion of people that will take the words of Rabbi Shaul out of context. When you bypass the first half of the book, and then you only use a third of the rest of the book that you're supposed to be using instead of the rest of it, it's very, very dangerous. And it is because of Rabbi Shaul and his words that many, many, many people are never going to make the kingdom because that is their God. And Rabbi Shaul is not going to be there on Judgment Day. He's not going to be your advocate. Rabbi Shaul is just a man. Now, let us begin into this. Do we have anything mystical?
I don't think so.
Okay. And then behind the service, yeah, absolutely. I'm just reading Sister Barb's stuff. Okay. They twisted his words. They did twist his words, but the words, unless you understand exactly what he's talking about inside of it, it can be very much twisted. That is the problem. You have 3 billion people that are in a Christian religion, and Paul is the only doctrine that they have. And so their souls are in danger, and it doesn't matter how we scrape and try to get them to open their eyes. It's nearly impossible to some. Okay, now here we are. Leviticus 11. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, speak to the children of Yisrael, saying, these are the living creatures which you do eat among the beasts that are on the earth. Okay, so the children of Yisrael, this is you guys. Guys, this is speak to the people who want to be God's children, right? These are what we can eat, right? Okay, so this is what we eat. Whatever has a split hoof, completely divided, chewing the cud among the beasts that you do eat. Okay, let's talk about that. We have a split hoof, completely divided, chewing the cud among the beasts. What's the very first one that comes to mind? Cow. Split hoof. These things chew the cud all the time. They chew the cud more than they chew grass, I think. So we have a cow. What else do we have that has a split hoof, chews the cud among the beasts? Deer. Elk. Things of this. Buffalo. Is buffalo? Yeah, buffalo's clean, right? Split hoof. Okay, continue on. 4. Only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud or those that have a split hoof. The camel, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the pig, though it has a split hoof, completely divided, yet does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch. They are unclean to you. Okay, what is this saying right here? The carcass, what is a carcass, fellas?
Their corpse. Their
corpse,
dead body.
their dead body, right? Why wouldn't we want to touch the dead corpse of an unclean animal?
Because it has all the parasites, because it's no longer like a living animal, and it's going to, all the infestations are going to come out of it when it's dead.
Absolutely. And so the pig is one of these special animals, and I think it was Sister Barb that talked about it a long time ago, that tossed something out, that she thought that pig had been redesigned by the fallen, and that they weren't exactly what they were, that they were, this was like a trick of the fallen. If it wasn't Sister Barbara, it was somebody else out there. But they were talking about this, and it makes a lot of sense. The pig this is the one animal that you absolutely cannot get the Christians to stop eating. And this animal does not have the same sweat glands. It does not have the same body type as everything else. These things are they're disgusting. They're very much disgusting. And the worms and the parasites that live in the pigs, and the pigs are completely happy. They don't have a problem with these worms and these, all these, there's tons and tons and tons of parasites in the pig, and they're meant because of the janitors of the earth. They can go eat a human corpse. They go around and eat feces. They go around and eat they'll eat their dead young, right? They will eat absolutely everything. They'll eat you if you fall into a pig pit, right? That's what it is. And then all of a sudden, we're especially coming from the United States of America. I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s where they had the commercials on TV about the great white meat and how they went and they started basically selling pig everywhere, and they countered it to cows and things. And the thing is, pigs they'll mass produce, and they'll have a tremendous amount of babies, and these things are all infestated, every single thing of this. And then you have to fry the worms and the parasites and the disgusting stuff out of the pig, and yet there's still 300,000 people in North America alone that get sick and go to the hospital every single year because they eat they don't uncook pig. It's not something that we are supposed to eat. Cow's meat does not end up like this, right? You don't want critters that are willing to eat meat, and they're willing to eat all this germs and all this crap that we have out there. And so it's very, very important. Pig is like it's the hook. If you had a hook on, the devil was fishing and you had a hook, at the end of that hook would be a nice little chunk of pig. And that's what he's tossing out there. And I've seen so many people completely disregard everything because they're not going to listen to this. Even though the creator of the universe says right here, their flesh you do not eat and their carcasses you do not touch. So if you hear these words and you go and you put a piece of pig in your mouth, don't expect that the kingdom is going to be part of your journey. Do you think that we're going to be called to Mount Zion, that we're going to be called to a kingdom to come, and you're going to be sitting there macking on pork rinds? You think you're going to be eating bacon on your way and eggs and things of that nature? Eggs, probably. Bacon? Absolutely not. Guys, we're not supposed to touch their bodies. We're not supposed to, their dead bodies, and we're not supposed to eat them. Continuing on. These you do eat of all that are in the waters. Anyone that has fins and scales in the water, in the seas, or in the rivers, that you do eat. But all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, all that move in the waters, or any living creature which is in the waters, they are an abomination to you. They are an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you abominate. Okay, so not only this, but our Creator has said, look, if you're dealing with stuff that have not fins and scales, don't eat it. Guys, what are we talking about here? What doesn't have fins and scales? Lobster,
crab,
shrimp, crab, and
Oysters.
all of these. What? Oysters. Yeah, all those things. And when I've talked about this before, but when I was a kid, I was a terrible fish bowl owner as a child. My fish were always dying because I was always feeding them way too much, and I killed them all. I just figured that they were hungry. They looked hungry to me, and I killed them all. But during my endeavors with my fish bowls, I ended up with crabs in the fish tank. And the crabs in the fish tank, these things, no matter how you had the top covered, somehow these things would always slip out through the top. Now, when a fish died, because I was a lazy, bad child that did not clean my fish bowl, I would observe the dead fish at the bottom, and he would turn white, and then I would notice my crab come along and grab this like rotten piece of flesh and eat it. And so I didn't have to clean my fish bowl when I had the crabs because they would take care of it. Those are things we would not want to eat, right? When you take a shrimp and you take a bunch of shrimp and you throw it in a bucket of contaminated water, inside of several weeks, that water will be completely clean. These shrimp suck down all of that contaminants in that water. When you guys pop one of those shrimp in your mouth, you're taking a hormone pus pocket and you're popping that sucker in your mouth. This is not a clean animal. These animals, the things that our creators told us not to eat, are things that are deadly to the human being. And so it's not that our Creator is trying to take away our fun town. It's not that He wants us not to have the great taste of things, because He never said you can't have sugar, although He said you can't be a glutton. But there's foods that we can absolutely eat that are far better than swine, but yet the Christians want the swine. Okay, continuing on. Anything in the...
No, they're just giving you ideas of what not to eat.
Okay, 13. Okay. And these you do abominate among the birds. Okay, the things you hate, right? If it's an abomination, it's stuff we do not like. They are not eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, the vulture, and the black vulture, and the hawk, and the falcon after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the ostrich, and the nighthawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl, and the fisher owl, and the great owl, and the white owl, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the stork, the heron, and its kind, and the hoopie, and the bat. Okay, let's talk about all of those things right there. What did I just describe in that particular set of animals?
They are a type of unclean birds.
They're a type of unclean birds. And I've talked about this before, but I think this is a good time to do it. It was in the year probably 2020 or around there where we actually ran out of dog food. And we had 10 dogs at the time. And we had no other options. We had some little tiny guns. And so we started clipping birds. And we decided that the only shot that we had at keeping us all alive was to feed the dogs birds. And so we would go out there and we would be shooting these birds. And the first thing that we discovered when we shot little birds is there's not a lot of meat on there. When you skin a bird, which is probably something that doesn't seem real nasty, But for anybody that's never done it, we didn't know how to do it. We looked at a kid on YouTube that did it, and we started skinning the birds. And the first thing is that we notice is there's just small amounts of meat. All you have really on a bird is the chest. Everything else is just is bones. And so we're sitting out there and we're skinning birds after bird after bird. And I decided that, you know what? I think we're going to have to step this one up, fellas. I think we're going to have to nail these vultures. Because these vultures are huge birds. And these vultures are absolutely disgusting critters. Like if you're looking at anything that is completely gross, and the vulture lives in the same kind of area as the owl, as all of these hawks. All of these animals will land upon dead, or they will take them live and they will rip them to shreds. Things that we cannot eat, these guys are able to eat. And so as we were going through this time, we never ever, I don't think did we ever end up skinning a vulture?
No.
We decided the vulture we weren't going to do. I think we
never
shot
even shot one.
We didn't shoot one?
No.
I think we did. I think we were deciding upon it, and I don't think any
you were
one of
trying
us.
to, but you never did.
I thought we did.
You shot at them, but I don't think we ever killed one.
And you guys were with us. Did we ever shoot? Did we ever catch one?
We tried shooting them, but like
We couldn't drop them?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Anyway, regardless, we decided that it was not in our best interest to put our hands inside of a filthy vulture because these things, there's reasons our Creator has created absolutely everything they have. Now, if you look at these vultures, they don't have a hair on top of their heads, right? They don't have anything like this. Why? Because these things will gnaw a hole inside of something and then they will stick their entire head deep down in this pocket of blood and guts, and it will sit there and it will have a delicious meal. Now, it doesn't have this stuff all over the top of its head, so it comes out. These critters were designed to deal with the dying dead. They are something that our Creator has made for a janitorial service for the lands, and when he says we shouldn't eat them, it's because we shouldn't. And when you watch the prey that these birds that we just talked about eat, it's pretty gross, the stuff they eat. It's not something we're going to want to fry up at all. Okay, continuing time. Was Genesis 9, what's that last thing say?
Genesis 9:3 was permitted in Noah's time.
9:3, we're not talking about eating anything. If you believe that what you're saying is all food, like they could eat anything, it was not permitted during Noah's time. Let's talk about this real quick. How many animals, gentlemen? Eli, wake up, please.
Yeah.
How many? Oh, your eyes are shut. Come over here. Okay, how many animals got on the ark?
7 of each, or 14 of each clean one, 7 males and 7 females, and 1 male and 1 female of each unclean one.
Yes, so Noah took onto the ark the cling animals he was going to use for his cling sacrifices and the things he was going to use for food. Noah, the families before that, nobody ever ate unclean food. It just did not happen. There's a tremendous amount of books in the Apocrypha that back all of this up, that never before were the people of Yah, the people of our Creator, eating unclean food. And so that's the understanding that you guys have to have, is if there was never a set of people, a precedence of people eating unclean food, and you're eating unclean food, what chance do we have to make the kingdom if you're doing that and know that you shouldn't be doing that? Okay, continuing on. Where are we at here?
We are
20?
20?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Insects. All right, let's get to them. Let's hit it in. All flying insects that creep on all fours is an abomination to you. Okay, so what insects creep on all fours? What do you got?
ants.
Flies.
Yeah.
Do they creep on all fours?
Yeah,
I think they have.
technically.
Okay. Only these you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours. These which have jointed legs above their feet with which to leap on the earth. Huge distinction, right? So all of a sudden, what do we have? Actually, we'll just read it. These of them you do not eat. Okay. Actually,
You do eat.
Okay, sorry. These of them you do eat. The locust after its kind, and the destroying locust after its kind, and the cricket after its kind, and the grasshopper after its kind. But all other flying insects which have 4 feet is an abomination to you. Okay, so there you guys go. If you want some crispy crickets, then there you go. 24. And by these you are made unclean. Anyone touching the carcass of any of them is unclean until evening. And anyone picking up part of the carcass of any of them has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. This part of unclean until evening, I know that everybody has an issue with the day that Shabbat begins or the time that Shabbat begins. I believe Shabbat begins at evening, based upon all of the rest of the scriptures that talk all about this. Because it didn't make any sense to me that if your day doesn't begin until the morning, you're clean until evening, then it doesn't make sense. Why would we be unclean until evening? And so these are one of these things that when you guys are made unclean, we have a way of becoming clean. Every beast that has a split hoof, not completely divided or does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean. And whatever goes on its paws, among all the creatures that go on all fours, those are unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean until evening. He who picks up their carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. They are unclean to you. And we've had this guy we nicknamed Evil Eric. He was always laughing at us because he's a chef that will take pork, swine fat and boil it down, and he puts it in all of his dishes. When he found out we eat cling, he would go out of his way to shake hands and to touch us because we knew he was defiled. And so that just really, really irked him. And my kids were really small. I think they were like, one of them was like 10 years old when we offended Evil Eric because we were getting into Torah and we knew that people that dealt with the pigs and dealt with all this are very unclean. And Evil Eric one time sent us this weight with boiling pig fat that said 6.6 ounces, 6 pounds, 6 ounces of this. And he writes, thinking of you. And he sent that via WhatsApp to us. And I think it was on a Shabbat when we saw this. And we were just horrified that this guy was such an evil, evil dude. But then he goes on, he tells us, he's like, you guys, you have dogs. You're all unclean. Okay, that's not what Scripture says. It talks about who is unclean and who's not. If we're going to eat a dog or we're going to eat a cat, that's unclean. We should not be doing that, right? Now, these things die on us. They absolutely die. How do we deal with the corpses, right? We have to lift them up. We got to put them. Wherever we do it, we become unclean until evening. It's not because you own a dog or a cat that you're unclean. We're talking about a corpse, the death of one of these animals. Okay, 29, I think. And these are unclean to you among the creeping creatures that creep on the earth: the mole and the mouse and the tortoise after its kind, and the gecko and the land crocodile and the sand reptile and the sand lizard and the chameleon. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Anyone who touches them when they are dead becomes unclean until evening. And yeah, mice are absolutely disgusting critters, right? They will bring contamination and plague and all this other stuff, right? Obviously, we don't eat these. But then we understand sand lizards, chameleons. We don't eat these. We're in the land of lizards right here. We have enough food for all of us if we so chose. 31. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Anyone who touches them when they are dead becomes unclean until evening. And whatever any of them in its dead state falls upon becomes unclean. Whether it is any wooden object or a garment or skin or sack or any object in which work is done, it is put in water, and it shall be unclean until evening. Then it shall be clean. Okay, so this is talking about, say, for instance, your dog dies, right? You wrap him up in a sheet, you take him to his burial, and you decide not to leave the sheet in there, but you take the sheet back. That's unclean, right? You need to wash that. These are what is talking about this particular part. And whatever we transport them on or wherever they're dead on, it's part of this uncleanness. Okay, 34. Any of the food which might be eaten or which water becomes unclean, and any drink which might be drunk from it becomes unclean. We're talking about the vessels of something that an unclean animal touches, and it's how to make it clean, right? So if the food, anything that is on this unclean thing becomes unclean. 36. But a fountain or a well, a collection of water is clean, but whatever touches their carcass is unclean. And when their carcass falls on any planting seed which is to be sown, it is clean. Okay, so this is giving us a little bit more understanding on what is clean, what is dirty, when something dies, if it goes on, right? And there's been different times when maybe an animal or something falls into a well, and the question would be, is this well unclean? Is the water unclean, right? Obviously you get the carcass out of there, you drain all your water out of there, but it says a fountain or a well, a collection of water is clean, but it's if you end up with the stuff in there, it's unclean. You got to clean it out, right? You can't just drink from a thing that has death in it. Okay. And so also that's a question. There's a lot of questions in scriptures on this stuff. Like if a carcass falls on like a pile of seeds that you're using, right? And some people just throw it away. That's not so. The seed is still clean. Okay, let's continue on. 38. But when any water is put on the seed and any part of such carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. Okay, so yet more understanding that, say for instance, you have your grain bin, and for whatever reason your dog dies and it's wet, it's like laying on the grain. All of that grain is unclean. It's unclean to us. And when any of the beasts which are yours for food dies, he who touches its carcass becomes unclean until evening. Okay, and that's just the way of life, right? We always become unclean until evening.
Being unclean was a normal process of life, but living unclean was not.
Yeah, absolutely. We try not to become unclean, but there's absolutely times when we do. It is a way of life. Okay, continuing on. And he who eats of its carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. And he who picks up its carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. And every creeping creature that creeps on the earth is an abomination. It is not eaten. Whatever crawls on its stomach and whatever goes on all fours and whatever has many feet among all creeping creatures that creep on the earth, these you do not eat, for they are an abomination. Okay, 43. Do not make yourselves abominable with any creeping creature that creeps, and do not make yourselves unclean with them, lest you be defiled by them. For I am Yahuwah your Elohim, and you shall kodesh yourselves, and you shall be kodesh, for I am kodesh. And do not defile yourselves with any creeping creature that creeps on the earth. These are things that our Creator's told us. We need to stay as clean as possible. Why? Is this because He doesn't want us dancing around the dead? Yes, that is true, but He doesn't want us to get sick, right? All of these things, especially the unclean animals and the carcasses, decomposition begins, right? Decomposition is a major thing, and this is when we touch this and it's decomposing, there's going to be a lot of bacteria that can hurt the humans. So our Creator says, don't get hurt, right? Let's not be in any of this. Okay, I think it's 45. For I am Yahuwah, who is bringing you up out of the land of Mitzrayim, to be your Elohim, and you shall be Kodesh. You should be holy, for I am Kodesh. This is the Torah, this is the law of the beasts and the birds and every living creature that moves in the waters, and of every creature that creeps on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living creature that is eaten and the living creature that is not eaten. Now, we have a religion in fact, we have 41,000 different religions, and they will tell you all about Peter's dream and how Peter had a dream that everybody all of a sudden can start eating this unclean food, and that we can eat stuff that has parasites and worms and sickness in it, and it's okay, right? That's not what Peter's dream was about at all. Peter's dream was about breaking the oral Torah. It was about breaking this rules and regulations that they had, that they were never ever to talk to a Gentile. They were never ever supposed to minister to the Gentiles. And so Peter had a dream where the unclean animals, he could go and minister to them. And even Peter, when it said slay and eat, Peter's like, no, I would never eat anything abominable. I would never ever do it. And so we're not talking about the sickness of eating all these unclean foods being made clean. This is a health thing. Our Creator doesn't want us all on beds with dysentery, sick all the time, and dying because we just eat unclean foods. There's a reason. So with that, I think we will leave out of Leviticus, and we are heading into an awesome chapter right here. This is Matthew 11. Anyone, give me a breakdown. Cade, I don't think I'll get it from Eli. Eli's half asleep here.
All right, so
I've been around for the last 2 weeks.
You ever read scriptures?
I have.
From the birth of Yahushua, we had his birth, we had his parents, we met his parents, and they were righteous people. He was born, Yahushua was born in the manger. He was raised up, he was born. We know that from that dream that his dad died when he was young, when he was early. But he grew up differently than all the rest. He was a special child. He was seeking out the ways of Yah. He was seeking out the ways of his father and seeking out what he can do. He knew that in his time he would become a chosen one, and then he met Yochanan, the immerser, John the Baptist, and he was immersed, and he was put on the path of his ministry, and that's where he began his ministry. He began healing and teaching, and he was hated in his hometown. He made the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they all hated him. They all hated what he stood for. They did not like the power that he had over the people, the way he taught the people. And they continued to plot against him. They continued to hate him in his heart. And Yahushua continued to teach the good news. He continues to teach the great things. He continues to teach the Torah and what is the way of life, how we should act. He is the Torah made flesh, so he is demonstrating what the Torah made flesh would look like.
Yep, and you guys, Yah Scriptures is 100% free. You can get the PDF of this exact same thing, and they also have a PDF of the Apocrypha. You also have the Google app. There will probably never be an iOS app, not in my lifetime, maybe later. But the best we have is what you see right here. It's all free, so if you guys would like to continue reading in this, and if you guys have a tablet or a phone, this is how we do all of our reading using this app. And this app is, I think, as close to perfect as we can do. It took a tremendous amount of time to get going.
Android, not.
Android, what did I say?
You said tablet or phone, but.
Tablet or phone. I'm talking
it's
Android. Anything
Android.
with Google, you can use, and this on. And so if you guys don't have a Google device and you want to get like, you can get like a $50 or $60 cheap tablet on eBay or something like that, you guys can have this whole scriptures on that tablet. Doesn't require internet, doesn't require anything. And so it's completely free of charge. All right, here we go, guys. Matthew 11. And it came to be when Yahushua ended instructing his 12 Talmidim that he departed from there to teach and to proclaim in their cities. And when Yochanan had heard in the prison of the works of Mashiach, he sent 2 of his Talmidim and said to them, "Are you the coming one, or do we look for another?" And Yahushua answering said to them, "Go report to Yochanan what you see and hear. Blind receive sight and lame walk. Lepers are cleansed and deaf hear. Dead are raised up and poor are brought the good news. And Baruch, blessed is he who does not stumble in me." Okay, I think these are very much worth discussing because we get a lot more out of the book of the Nazarene, a lot about this particular part. But in the book of the Nazarene, it talks about Yochanan the Immerser, John the Baptist, who you guys know him as. There's no J's in Hebrew. The guy's name would have never been John. But Yochanan was, he was getting a little nervous. He was stuck in prison. He was stuck in there. All he had was his people coming and telling him stuff, and he was hearing all of these amazing things about the Messiah. And then he gets a little paranoid, right? And he goes, "Are you the coming one, or do we look for another?" And the answer is amazing because it's not really an answer, right? It's simply go back and tell him what you've already seen, the miracle stuff. That is, just go describe what is happening, and people will be able to put that together. Okay, and Baruch is, and blessed is he who does not stumble in me. And as these were going, Yahushua began to say to the crowds concerning Yochanan, "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man dressed in soft garments? Look, those wearing fine softness are in the houses of sovereigns. But what did you go out to see? A Nabai, a prophet? Yes, I say to you, and more than a Nabai. For this is he of whom it was written, 'See, I send my messenger before your face, and who shall prepare your way before you.'" So this is prophecy being fulfilled, and Messiah letting everybody know what's going on. And for the people of that time, it may have not made a tremendous amount of sense. For us who have been gifted and blessed with the scriptures for all the time that we're willing to read it, this is amazing that this is prophecy coming to be fulfilled. And one thing that we can get out of the book of the Nazarene that we don't get anywhere else is that our let's see, where was I going with this? I think I just lost my train of thought as I was reading the comments. Hold on, guys. I know it's going to come back. I think I got harped. My mind is gone. It's not coming back. All right, I'm continuing on. So, sorry, folks. Let's see. Where are we at?
10.
10? 11? I got 10 and 11.
No, it's 11.
Okay, so truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has not risen one greater than Yochanan the Immerser, yet the least one in the reign of the Shamayim is greater than he. Okay, it came back to me, guys, because this verse actually brought it here. This is what Messiah Yahushua reiterates very much in the book of the Nazarene, and this is something that is very, very important, guys. John the Baptist was the man, right? This was the dude. Yochanan the Immerser was a humble guy. He very moderate of everything, right? And when you read the extracurricular books, the one book, it's the book of John, which is about Yochanan. It talks about the way he was and about his upbringing, and that he literally lived in a cave. He was hustled off to live into a cave to be saved. But when the Messiah tells us in the book of the Nazarene that unless all of us rise up to the same level of Yochanan the Immerser, John the Baptist, we're not going to make the Shamayim. And I sat and I contemplated on that verse for a very, very long time and was trying to figure that out. And the best that I can come up with is that the kingdom to come is truly a place of holy folks. It is a place of a people who not only love the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator, but are people who are willing to put them into their lives and to make them. Now, my dogs are getting a little rowdy here, guys, so I'm going to apologize before anything happens, just in case it does happen. Okay, so it's continuing on. 12. And from the days of Yochanan the Immerser till now, the reign of the Shamayim is violated, and the violent seize it. And it's not seize it, but seize it, right? For all the Nebiim and the Torah, Nabu till Yochanan. And again, this is the prophecy being made whole. That all of these things from back in the days, from back in the prophets, it's happening. Messiah is here, and this was what everybody's waiting on. And most people still don't see it. They haven't figured this out. 14 says, and if you want to accept it, he is Eliyahu who was about to come. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And to what shall I compare this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplace and calling to their companions and saying, we played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We lamented for you, to you, and you did not beat the breast. For Yochanan came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he has a demon. The son of Adam, the Ben of Adam, who's Messiah Yahushua, came eating and drinking, and they say, see, a man, a glutton, and a wine drinker, a friend of tax collectors and sinners, and wisdom was declared right by her works. Then he began to reproach the cities in which most of his miracles had been done, because they did not repent. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Beth Zaida! Because if the miracles which were done in you had been done in Zor and Zidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say to you, it shall be more bearable for Zor and Zidon in the day of judgment than for you. And you, Kephar-Nahum, who were exalted to the Shamayim, shall be brought down to the grave. Because if the miracles which were done in you had been done in Sodom, which is Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say to you that it shall be more bearable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for you. At this time, Yahushua responding said, I thank you, Father, Adon of the Shamayim and earth, because you have hidden these from clever and learned ones and have revealed them to children. Okay, let's talk about this, right? Guys, what this one single verse right here either makes our Messiah a liar or the Christian religion a liar. What do I mean by this? We have a religion that says the Father and the Son and the Ruach HaKodesh are all the same entity, and they have the entire world confused. This entire notion never even came to light until 325 AD. Thousands of years ago from us, hundreds of years after Messiah went, the Catholic Church decided that they were all one, and they did this thing called the Creed of Nicaea, where they went and they declared all of these unholy, unkodesh, unbiblical statements, and everybody took off with them and they ran with them. But Messiah right here says, I thank you, Father, Adon of the Shamayim and earth, because you have hidden these from clever and learned ones and have revealed them to children. Now let's talk about this. How would this sound if the Trinity was real? It would say, I thank myself. I am the Father. I'm the Adon of the Shamayim and earth, because I have hidden these things from clever and learned ones and have revealed them to children. Right? So we have to completely rewrite scriptures to get the Trinity out of this, because there is no place in scriptures anywhere that it says anything about a Trinity. And you can take us back to the book of Isaiah and talk about Emmanuel, and you can look at the wrong translations that the Septuagint has it right. So before you take one single verse and you decide that the Creator and His Son are all the same, and that the Creator died at the hands of Hasatan for 3 days, that's not what happened. And it doesn't say that anywhere. And so that is one of these things I'm always talking about. Not my will, but my will be done. The book of John, 1 John, talks completely about it. Messiah is either a filthy liar, which hurts me to say that because I know he isn't. Please don't condemn me, Father. Or the religions of this world have this completely wrong. Messiah says, I come in the name of my Father. I come doing the will of my Father. He says he's not the Father. He very clearly says it, right? And so we either have to stick with the traditions of men and doctrines that are foreign to what Scriptures has. And the reason this is a very hardcore understanding is that if you are praying to Messiah, if you believe that our Creator is a jealous Elohim, he says that Elohim is one. He didn't say he's two. We have an understanding out of the words of Messiah himself on how to pray. Not once does he ever say, pray to me. Not once does he ever say, this is how to do it, pray to me, this is it. The Father is greater than me. Yeah, absolutely. First John talks completely about this. So guys, let's break these traditions of men and this indoctrination that has us thinking that the Creator and the Son are one, because they're not. It's the Father and it is the Son. Okay, continuing on, 26. Yes, Father, because so it was well-pleasing in your sight, right? And he's coming off of 25 that says, you have hidden these from the clever and learned ones and have revealed them to children. Yes, Father, because it was pleasing in your sight. Anybody that's taken any basic English understands what your is, me is, them, we, all of these things. Messiah never talks as a we. He never talks as a singular. He always talks as a dual purpose person or entity. Call him what you want. Okay. 27. All have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and he to whom the Son wants to reveal to him. Again, this is a Trinity breaker right here, guys. This is a problem, right? If you think that the Trinity, the Father and the Son are one, then we have a tremendous amount of problems inside the Scriptures, because Messiah says it was handed over to him by his Father. Now, he's either lying and he might be, kind of loony when he thinks he's all the same person, right? That would be called a schizophrenic, right? You people who believe that there are multiple people on this, but Messiah never says he's multiple people. In fact, he says that nobody knows him except his Father, and nobody knows the Father except him. And people are like, well, we know God. We know Yahuwah. You guys don't know him. Guys, he was with his Son during creation. The Torah was built thousands of years before creation, before we ever had separation of light and darkness in the realm that we knew of. Our Creator and his Son were hanging out. That's a dynamic duo. They're doing it. The Son has obviously grown up under the Father in another realm, and that's why he knew the Torah absolutely perfectly, right? And so don't get caught up on these things and think that the Father and the Son are the same. They are not. They are two separate entities that are doing the will of the Father. Continuing on. 28. Come to me. Is that right? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Did I do that? I'll hand it over to the Father. Yep. 20. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I shall give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your beings. For my yoke is gentle and my burden is light. Guys, what are you talking about? What kind of yoke are we talking about? We're talking about the Torah, right? We're talking about the most amazing yoke that you can ever have. Guys, not all yokes are burdens. We're not talking about a yoke that you stick around a whole set of oxen. We're talking about a yoke that will sustain us and put us together as a family of our Creator in a way that he wants us to behave, in a way that he wants us to act. Guys, we have a choice right now. Are we willing to serve Elohim Most High, or are we wanting to serve the devil? There's no two ways. There's not a midway. There's not a middle of the road. There's a gate and the wide path that leads to destruction. So we have a chance that we can either find this small little gate that leads to a purposeful world, or we can be stuck in the world, look like the world, taste like the world, watch these hellacious movies and watch all this demonology and be part of this, and we'll be skipped when it comes to the kingdom. And guys, this is what we all want to see each other in the kingdom. I want to see all you guys there. I hope I make the kingdom. I don't know if I'll make the kingdom. I don't know if my family will make the kingdom, but we're going to strive and we're going to work as hard as we possibly can, and we're never going to give up, and we're never going to falter. And when anyone comes against us and says, hey, you know what? This Torah is a mess. This Torah is a bondage. This Torah is, I will never listen to that. I will never ever say that, because the Torah is not a bondage. It is a blessing, and it will make strong families. It will make strong people. It doesn't matter if you have a dad or a mom. If you have the Torah, you have a Father that gave us life and gave us the rule set to go forward. So guys, with that, I think we have done enough for the day. We love you all, and we
gonna bless the people.
Let's bless the people. Eli.
Yahuwah brought you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall barak them.
Okay, so guys, here we are. Our last song. We love you all. The dogs are going to go crazy like always. And let's get it up. right, fam. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you. May his light forever shine on you. May the kingdom forever be a part of our world and part of our lives. And may we all be able to get back together on a Shabbat. I love you all. We love you all. Shalom.
All right.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.